Hi, I'm Cherita Ellens. I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, a Southsider, a product of Chicago Public Schools, the proud mom of a fully launched adult daughter who is also a product of Chicago Public Schools, a caregiver to my mom, and a longtime advocate for women, youth, and families. I'm also this president and CEO of Women Employed, a nonprofit organization based right here in Chicago that has been opening doors, breaking down barriers, and smashing the status quo for working women for more than 50 years. I'm so excited to welcome you to the first episode of Women Employed's new monthly show, Women at Work. In this show, we will dive into the issues affecting working women and their financial power. We'll talk about things that impact you, including pay gaps, caregiving responsibilities and paid leave, access to quality education and career pathways, and so much more. You'll hear from women who are making it happen, including issue experts, civic leaders, advocates, and everyday working women. Each conversation will leave you with the new insights into your rights, the issues shaping your workplace, and how you can engage and make a difference. In our first episode, we're going to introduce you to Women Employed and our work. So let me tell you a little bit more about Women Employed. We were founded in 1973. By a group of women working in the loop who saw the systemic barriers they were facing, the shocking pay gaps between them and their male colleagues, the promotions they deserved but didn't get, the sexual harassment from male bosses and coworkers that was just seen as part of the job. Those audacious women came together to fight for something better, and by joining in community with one another, they changed lives and workplaces. Our early advocacy with employers and the federal government led to creating safer workplaces and economic advancement for millions of women. We helped write the federal rules that define sexual harassment as illegal. We helped pass the Civil Rights Act of 1991 and the Family and Medical Leave Act. In Illinois, we have advocated successfully for the Illinois Equal Pay Act and its no salary history and salary transparency amendments, the Student Loan Bill of Rights, pregnant worker protections, and hundreds of millions of dollars in need-based financial aid. We passed paid time off in Chicago, Cook County, and Illinois. Our career pathways work has helped thousands build skills and credentials they need for new careers with family-sustaining wages. Now, so many of the rights and protections we have spent the last 50 years fighting are under attack. The administration has dismantled agencies and programs that enforce civil rights laws and provide access to equal opportunities in education and in work. Cuts to Medicaid and SNAP have decimated safety nets that keep many women and families afloat. Attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs have resulted in the elimination of jobs, fewer protections for sexual harassment, and growing pay inequities. Even women's voting rights are at risk. Rest assured, at Women Employed, we are not backing down. We are working to shore up our rights here in Chicago and in Illinois in the face of federal rollbacks. We are educating working people about their rights in the workplace and how to access them. We are working to make education and training accessible and affordable for everyone. And we are providing people with simple actions they can take to make a difference. I want to introduce you to our guest for today. She's a fan favorite, Sharmili Majmudar. Sharmili is Women Employed's Executive Vice President of Policy, Programs, and Research. In her role, she oversees our strategic policy and systems change work. She advocates for best practices on sexual harassment, equal pay, and other issues of gender bias that create barriers to economic equity, and she leads our advocacy efforts for voluntary implementation of good quality jobs. Before joining Women Employed in 2017, she served as Executive Director for Resilience, working to ensure survivors of sexual assault are treated with dignity and compassion. I am proud to call her my colleague. Welcome, Sharmili. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Let's get started.
Excited.
I'm excited to have you here. So before we get started, I think it's really important that, we're talking about women at work, and we share with women the paths, the journey that it takes to get to where we are and why we do this work. So can you talk a little bit about your journey and why you are doing this work?
Yeah, I think there are a number of things that influenced me coming to Women Employed, but a few key ones that I think about are, first of all, my mom. My mom was really core to keeping our household moving when I was a kid, and did have a couple of part-time jobs here and there. But as I've learned more about her story, one of the things that really struck me is that she actually worked as a nurse in India. And when she came here to the States, she had hoped to continue to serve as a nurse. And her credentials, her education, and the fact that she had actually had work experience as a nurse didn't qualify her to be able to do that job here, to the point where they told her that she was going to need to go all the way back through high school in order to be a nurse, and wouldn't even hire her as a nursing assistant. And I mention that because that's one of those things where this was what she really wanted to do and what she loved, and she couldn't do it. The price was too high. So I think one of the things that's always motivated me to be doing work around gender equity and ensuring pathways are open and accessible to people in a number of different ways is born in my mom's story. And then when I went, I got my master's degree at Loyola University in social work, and I had envisioned myself providing counseling to folks in the community, which I did. And then I started working around gender-based violence, so domestic and sexual violence, and I, for over 20 years, that was really the focus. And throughout that time, it was just so clear that economic justice and financial opportunity was really key to people being able to chart paths not only of security, but of safety, of independence. And so there was a really natural, actually, transition for me to come over to Women Employed and be focused more on women's economic justice, because that was really a core issue. Absolutely. And when we think about things like gender-based violence, like sexual harassment at work is a form of gender-based violence, which is also like something that Women Employed has been doing. So those are kind of things that kind of led me to being here at Women Employed, and I really feel like I'm able to bring together that personal history and then the work I was doing before to hopefully build women's economic power through our work.
It's important, right? So that it doesn't feel like work every day, because the work itself is hard.
Yes.
So from your perch as EVP of Policy, Programs, and Research, I don't know, could we have picked a longer title? What do you think is special about the way Women Employed approaches our mission and our work?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of ingredients to our secret sauce, right? I think that one of them is that we are both taking advantage of opportunities as they present themselves to make change, but we are also working to make those opportunities happen at the same time. And that requires that we're really, I think, nimble and strategic in how we do our work. It also means that we build relationships, and that those relationships are not transactional, but are really about people and organizations who are aligned in creating a society, a community, an economy that works better for women. I think another thing is that we know our strengths and we know what it is that we bring to the table, and that we also honor and respect the strengths of others and what they bring to the table. And so we are crystal clear that the whole is greater than its parts, and that when we work in coalition, we do so in ways that maximize those strengths that all of us have. I think we tell the truth when it comes to who is most impacted by the systems that are in place and whose needs need to be centered. You know, we focus on women who are in low-paid roles, and we focus on Black and Latina women. And I think that that really gives us a North Star that still benefits a whole bunch of people outside of that. But those are, you know, the women that we focus on, and that we work to make sure that they're centered in the development of that work. And then I think the final ingredient is that we see the systems work. Like, we know that individual women are discriminated against, come up against barriers, experience pay inequity, but that just addressing a single woman's experience is not going to make the change that's necessary. So we work to change laws, but we also work to change systems as well. And while that's long-term work, when it happens, we are able to change millions of lives, like real dollars in people's pocketbooks all at once.
All at once. And we find ourselves in a moment, and you talked about, you know, we center, right, the individuals that are facing the most disparities. And we do that as a collective. We do that in coalition. But in these days, it's taboo to talk about centering anyone other than white men, and it's almost, and it's and not just taboo, it's risky. We see organizations losing funding. We see, you know, corporations stepping away from support. So in this moment, what is the most critical work? Like, why are we so steadfast in continuing our work in the way that we do that work unapologetically?
Because it reflects the reality of people's lives. And so earlier I said we tell the truth, right? And that is telling the truth. Those are the people who need us to step up and speak out with them the most. And if we're not doing that, then we're not fulfilling our mission.
So you've been with us for 9 years.
Yes.
You came right before me. And what are you most proud about?
I am proud of our tenacity.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I think, you know, there are a lot of things that you mentioned during the introduction that I'm very proud of. But I think the thing that stands out to me is that quality about Women Employed that we got through. I mean, and that you've led us through, right? COVID, for example, the impact that COVID had in so many ways on women, and on women's workplaces as well. More recently, I think the dramatic impacts of the changes of this federal administration and the ways in which it has put so much progress at risk. And the fact that we don't get frustrated, we suit up. I think that's kind of like how we approach things, you know. These are all...
We get angry.
We get angry, but we use that as fuel.
Absolutely.
And we don't lose focus.
Absolutely.
And I think we've developed a culture in which we can be angry together and we can express those frustrations, and we still are clear on our purpose. And in a lot of ways, I think that clarity also is paired with responsibility. Like, there are a lot of organizations and people who are really scared right now and who are not able to speak up and who have a lot at stake. And not that we don't, but we really, I think, are trying to step into the moment and face it and recognize that it is our responsibility to do so when there are people who cannot.
Right. We work on a lot of things.
Yes,
Except
we do.
for the intro.
We do.
But in this moment, what would you say are the most critical issues that's important for people to know that we are involved in or working on?
Yeah, in this moment where it feels like a lot of stuff is being dismantled,
Yeah.
I think it's really, really important that people know that they still have rights and that those rights are still enforced.
Yes.
And that they have access to them. So, we've been definitely trying to make sure that people know, yes, this is how the changes at the federal level are going to impact you. But at the same time, these are all of the things that are still the law, and not only at the federal level, but also at the state level that they can count on. And so we launched the For the Common Good campaign right after the current president came into administration. And we did so in order to help explain and translate all of the stuff that was happening. I mean, it was so overwhelming.
It was so fast.
It was so fast,
so much.
so many directions, right?
But that was the purpose. It was meant to be chaotic.
That was
right?
intentional.
Right.
It was intentional chaos. I think it's also led to us being very focused on ensuring that our rights in Illinois are shored up.
Yes.
And that people know what those rights are. We are also focused on paid family and medical leave. We are one of the only nations that does not provide paid family medical leave. And Illinois is really poised to be the next state that has paid family medical leave, but we're working on that. And that's because most people just don't have access to leave that they will have to take and will need.
Absolutely.
And when
For a variety of reasons.
For a variety of reasons.
It's not just for paternity leave, but it's, we talked about earlier being caregivers. And
Yes.
you're also a part of this sandwich generation, or panini, as you like to call it. And that paid leave is critical for everyone. Every one of us at some point in time will have to provide care.
Or will have to receive
care. And balance work at the same time.
Absolutely. And it makes sense in so many ways economically, from a business perspective, from an employee perspective, from a societal perspective, right? And at this point, like 62% of Illinois workers can't even take unpaid leave. Right? So even if one employer provides paid family medical leave, that's wonderful, but you shouldn't have to
win the
lottery, yes, to be able to take what is going to be a human experience. I think the law that we're working on passing would allow working people to meet their health and caregiving needs, would benefit businesses, would reduce economic inequality. It would also improve economic opportunities for everyone. Like, this is something that small businesses, large businesses, people in rural places, people in cities all need, right? And it also, ultimately it creates a state-run insurance program that would allow Illinois workers to use 18 weeks of paid leave that is job protected a year. And we have a lot of support in the Illinois General Assembly, and we're building more. And we have an amazing coalition, it's called the Time to Care Coalition, of organizations of so many different stripes that are also helping to push this forward.
Including small businesses.
Yeah, who generally can't kind of compete when it comes to those kinds of benefits with large employers. And this would kind of give them a leg up in competing for talent. We're always working on closing the gender wage gap. Always. So the salary transparency win, the no salary history law, these are things that we really just want to make sure people know about and know that they can expect. But so when people are looking for a job, and if you see the salary range, that's because of the salary transparency law that we helped to pass, because information is power. And so that's another thing. We're working on making career pathways real. We were talking about that before, but really giving people access ensuring they know what it is that's necessary to be successful on a career pathway, and that they're getting the supports that they need, and that employers can then have a pool of talent and be able to hold on to people, because it's really expensive to have like this wheel of people leaving all the time.
And it's important for people to understand what pathways are available, because occupational segregation is also one of the issues that we are combating, and plays a lot into the pay gap or the wage gap that we see. A lot of that is a lack of knowledge of what's available, because too often women are ushered into certain roles without the ability and opportunity to explore. If I want to go into healthcare, I don't just have to be a CNA. We need CNAs, by the way. But it's so much more available to them. And there are other pathways that take the same amount of time or just a little bit more, cost the same amount of money, maybe a little bit more, but will pay you a lot more. And the job quality is better. And so it's really important that we demystify these pathways to make sure that people have access to them.
And part of our work is to help employers build those pathways. It's also to expose people to different careers, possibilities. And then it's also to do the research that helps us kind of undergird, right, that work as well. We're also working on making sure higher education is accessible to people, and that institutions get the kind of support from the state that they need to serve their student body and their student body's needs. And we're working on the subminimum wage for tipped workers, which we're defending that win in Chicago and trying to hold on to it. But we believe that everyone deserves to make, at minimum, a minimum wage.
Right. So there is so much more, and we have to begin wrapping up. So thank you, so much for being here today, Sharmili, of course, for our first episode. Who else would I have to be with me on this? So thank you for joining us for our inaugural episode. And I'm sure the viewers will see you again, but I always appreciate you sharing your insights and your expertise and the important work that Women Employed does. And a lot of that happens under your leadership. So thank you for that.
Oh, I'm so honored to have been the first guest.
Yeah. So, many may be asking, like, I want to learn more, because there's only so much that we can say in this 30-minute segment. So we want to make sure that you know how to reach us, you know how to find out more information. You can visit our website at womenemployed.org. Sign up for our emails. That's the best way to hear what's happening and what you can do. Our website also has actions right now that we're asking for people to take to make a difference. So don't delay and go there. You can also follow us on all socials. We make it really easy at Women Employed. We're Women Employed everywhere. And then we're also having an event that's coming up, the Working Lunch on May 14th at the Hilton Chicago. This is our signature annual event. This year, we'll celebrate the power of we. We'll hear from the women impacted by our work, and we will also honor and celebrate leaders who have dedicated their lives to building women's power and bringing their voices to the tables where fundamental and systemic change happens at all levels. This year, our Trailblazer honoree is Jackie Algie, Vice President and Director of External Relations for SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and Kansas. And our champion honorees are the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunities Office of Economic Equity and Empowerment. Their title might be longer than yours. And Kathy Ballhaus, founder of the Ballhaus Foundation for Women and Girls and chairman and CEO of Charter Next Generation. You can learn more about the event and our honorees at womenemployed.org/TWL. Stay tuned for our next episode of Women at Work in May, where we'll talk about the history of May Day, the current state of working women, and how we can get on a better footing. Thank you for watching. Until next time, be well and keep raising your voices.